Welcome everyone. This is the Purple Thursday Texas Social Media Tidbits session. Say that 5 times fast. And the topic of today is how to use Periscope. And we are actually periscoping this today, and you will see what this looks like from my device in a couple of moments. But here's an overview of the session, and again, this is a very quick session, but what is Periscope, how to use Periscope, how you can incorporate Periscope in your classroom or in your organization, some benefits and disadvantages of Periscope, and then 55 ways to use Periscope. And some of those ways, I will admit, you will come up with as an audience through crowdsourcing, so we'll make it work. Okay, so what is Periscope? Here's a quick video to show you what Periscope is. And with everything on YouTube, you always have the ad that comes up, so you get introduced to new things all the time.
So my young friends out there.
Okay. Yeah. Come on. Okay, so we're going to blank this right quick. I don't know. Sometimes they're actually, and I will tell you guys, I watch Hulu all the time, and there's been this ad, it's like the scary movie about a grandma and a grandpa, and it just scares me half to death. So I don't watch ads anymore because you never know what's going to pop up. So that will pop up in just a minute. But what you will see is someone has the Periscope app in their hand, and they're talking about how the app will change the internet. So hopefully that will come up soon. Here we are. But Periscope is an app that you can download on your phones. It works with Twitter. So if you have a Twitter profile, or maybe you have several Twitter profiles, they will all work with that app. And so it's easy to switch between one profile and the other. So when it comes up, you'll see exactly what it looks like. Have any of you downloaded Twitter yet? Or downloaded Periscope yet? And I know both of you are on Twitter, so both of you have a Periscope profile as well. Okay.
So this is Periscope. As soon as you jump in the app, you are brought into the watch page. There are 3 big live streams here, and then there are a bunch of other live streams below. You can't sort through any of these. I don't even know who these people are. And they seem to be completely random and change upon refreshing. And then on the bottom here, you have your recent streams. These are mine and some of my friends. Then you have the people tab, and these are the people that I'm following on Twitter. You've got a search function here, and you've got your profile page here. Very similar to what Twitter has. But then obviously you've got the broadcast page here. So let's do
and that is what he's doing right now.
Testing, start broadcast. So this is a live Periscope. We are live now. We have one person.
And I will tell you, you know how he had the phone down looking at, his legs? Whatever the first picture is what your broadcast will be known as for the next 24 hours. So just a disclaimer. So that will be in his background image.
A live hands-on video. Hello everyone watching this. So these hearts here are people tapping the screen to like show love, basically. And in the profile, you have your heart count, which I think is kind of interesting. And you can see the chat here on the side. You can see who joined, and you can see the chat. Hello, Charlie. So let's go ahead and stop this broadcast. And what's neat is it gives you stats.
I like that one.
So it gives you duration, time watched, and it shows you who viewed it, and then you can save it to your camera roll as well. And one of the best parts about Periscope is that your broadcasts are saved for 24 hours, which is something that Meerkat doesn't have. Overall, it's a really well-polished app. Streams are way less cluttered than Meerkats are, and I like it.
So that is a quick and dirty overview of Periscope, and he compared it against Meerkat. Meerkat is one of Periscope's competitors, but Periscope is a Twitter-based product, so that's why I like it, and I'm a little bit biased. But how you use Periscope's features. Whenever you log on, you have 4 icons that you can choose from. You have the broadcast, that is like what's going on right now in the world. This is the broadcast function, and that brings up either the map or the list, so you can view scopes from South America, from Europe, from almost anywhere. Also, this is the one that you press to scope, and then these are the followers that you have. So whenever you go to scope, this screen, and I did a screenshot this morning, but this is the screen that you will see. It will say broadcast now. That does not mean that you're broadcasting, but you will put your, like say what your scope is about here. That is basically how you will advertise your scope. And so it's important to not only use hashtags, but to use buzzwords that are, going to really get your scope out there. You can also put at, like Tarleton, and I always get this wrong, K-I-N-E. Okay, at Tarleton, K-I-N-E. And so you can put that. So I know that you guys have multiple people utilizing that account, so that will go to everyone to notify them that you're scoping. I always put at TSMRI, so all of the TSMRI folks will see that I'm scoping too. But you can put Tarleton 19 or whatever here. This will, if this is illuminated, this will actually go directly to Twitter. So whatever you put here on Periscope will go directly to Twitter. This is to turn off the chat functionality. Hey! To turn off the chat functionality, so that means that people can't chat in your scope. Okay, this one is basically locking down who can join your scope, and then this one is the scary one for me, but this one is showing the location of your scope. So you know how all of those are, in different facets of the country, or the countries, then if you look at that piece, and if that one is eliminated, then that means that they can see exactly where you are down to the address. So that's the scary part for me. But just type that in using the keypad, or you can use your external keyboard. So the next piece is how to use the Periscope features. And whenever you log on, this is the page that you see. You see no one you are following is live. So when I did that screen capture, no one was live. But yesterday was the Apple live event, so Mashable was there, CNN was there, The Verge was there. I don't really know about The Verge, but it was there. And so all of my feed was going off like every few moments whenever they were looking at the release of the different Apple products. And so they also have featured on Periscope. So that means that those companies paid extra to have their featured scopes go to the top. But if you scroll down, you can see exactly who's scoping and who scoped when. So like yesterday, I caught a scope just in time. It was just about to expire, and scopes stay on for 24 hours. So there's this lady that I watch every single day, no fail, and she always scopes at 2. Sometimes the days get busy, and I forget her scope, and I catch it just in time, 5 minutes before it will expire, and so that means I get to watch her whole scope without the expiration date happening. So these are the recent ones. This is whoever's live, and if someone is live, you get to go into their scope, and then you get to tap hearts and see and chat with them live. They cannot see you, but you can see them. You can see everything that is in their background, and I will show you why that's so important in just a moment. These are the people under the people tab, and that's illuminated right there. And so these are all of the people I am following, or who are following me on Twitter. And I can add them to my Periscope. So you follow them on Twitter, and then you have to follow them again on Periscope. Does that make sense, everybody? It was confusing for me at first. So, and that's how many followers all of these people have. And their description is here. You can make your description on Periscope different than your description on Twitter. So you can actually reinvent yourself by using the same name. Okay, so let's go back to how to use the Periscope features. Not only will it tell you the number of people joining the session, and you'll see that in just a moment, but it will also give you their any questions that they have, any comments that they have about what you're scoping. So, Mr. Malone, if you're scoping about something on campus, or if you're scoping about something in the community, or even if you're scoping the session right now, people might have questions about what your content is or what the context is, and they can ask you that simultaneously, and you can answer that verbally because you do not have the capability to type or to give yourself hearts in your scope. There's a muting function because there are trolls on Periscope. I haven't experienced a troll, but I've seen the trolls in action. And so that basically means that they will say something completely off topic, or they will ask you to do something that's completely off topic. And so you can mute those people, and those people will not be able to interact in your scope. The frontward facing or the forward facing feature is whatever image you see. That's why I wanted to put that beginning image that was the nice graphic at the beginning, because that is when people are looking for scopes to watch later and they're not watching it live right now, that is the image that they will see for the next 24 hours whenever they're deciding on scopes to look at. So for that guy, it would be his pants leg portion. Okay, we also have the background of your scope. That's very important as well. And I've never realized how important your background is until I started periscoping and periscoping frequently and watching periscopes. So I went to Marshall's and I actually purchased a shower curtain to have like a neat chevron background, because that background will really bias people towards your scope. And so if you have the same common background, I know this lady from Atlanta, she scopes every single day, but she always has hearts in her background to encourage people to give her hearts. And the hearts basically mean if like your clout on Periscope. So the more hearts you have, the more clout you have on Periscope. So there's this lady I know that has almost 900,000 hearts. So that means she scopes frequently and people like her content. Any questions so far? I know it's like, okay. Okay, so broadcasting basics for everyone on Periscope. And I will have to tell you, this took a long time to come up with this list, because people do many different things, but these are like the best practices for Periscope. Remember, your first image is the image that they will see throughout the next few moments or the next 24 hours of your scope. Welcome everyone, hi, welcome to today's Periscope. My name is Dr. Jennifer Edwards. State your credentials, what you do. Also, invite your viewers to invite others. And so if you ever hear in a Periscope, don't forget to swipe left to invite your viewers as I am introducing myself, and that will increase the probability of other people joining your scope. The more people who join your scope, the more followers you are likely to get from that scope and subsequent scopes. Provide an overview of tips. And so at first people are like, well, what do I scope? So based on tried and true things that I've seen, I would provide your viewers with like 3 to 5 tips or quick and easy ways to do whatever. I've seen recipes from Mexico. This lady scopes every day, and she scopes on how to make tamales in Mexico, and other dishes. I have this other person that I watch, and she scopes on couponing. I have this other person that I watch, and she scopes on ways to exercise in the park by just using what's available there. So there's scopes, different scopes for different folks. Don't quote me on that. So, and then you have, or you can Periscope the topic of the scope. And so like this summer, I went to SeaWorld. And so I do a lot of things with SeaWorld, and I scoped like several times at SeaWorld, and so it was the topic of the scope and not necessarily tips. But say, Mr. Malone, if you were doing a scope, you would Periscope about potentially about the 5 things that millennial journalists need to know before they graduate from college. You might scope about about your study abroad experience and the 5 key things that faculty members need to know whenever they are planning a study abroad experience, or 5 key things to pack whenever you are traveling abroad, things that you will not get access to in that country. And then with you, like the ways that you can market a university department or a series of university departments and the events effectively when reaching students, faculty, and staff. So those are all ways that you can use Periscope. So the ways that you can use Periscope are absolutely endless. So you provide an overview of those topics, and then you provide the 3 to 5 tips or the topic, and then you provide time for questions at the end, and then thank them and remind them to follow you. Okay. I thought you had a question, Mr. Malone. And then gaining hearts. Hearts are like money on Periscope. The more hearts you have, the more clout you have, the more credibility you have. So hearts are like your Periscope street cred. So they just simply tap the screen for feedback. So if there's a scope I really like, I invite my 3-year-old in the room, and I just say, honey, just tap the screen. I really like that. So she has fun tapping the screen. The other piece is every person in that scope has a different color heart. So like say your hearts would be purple, your hearts would be pink, you might have like an orange heart, you might have a blue heart, but you can know like whose hearts those are. And some people have even hacked that system to say, hey, I really like the purple hearts, please give me some more purple hearts, things of that nature, in both men and women. Also commenting on the colors of the heart, so like I just mentioned. Periscope hacks. I'm all about hacks, do more in less time. So Periscope hacks, schedule your scopes. So as I mentioned, there are ladies, men, and corporations who scope every day at a certain time. Also provide a nice background for your viewers. So you could do a background, you know, here or in my office. I didn't like the background that I had, so I purchased actually it was a tablecloth at Goodwill, and I draped it over my whiteboard in the background because I didn't want people to know what my pre-planning list looks like. And so that's my Periscope background. You can upload scopes later on YouTube. Please, 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 before you scope, look in the settings on Periscope. Change it to save to your photo feed. And so if you don't, that means your scopes, you will never, if you do not select that before you scope, you will not ever be able to save the scope that you are currently doing to your camera roll. So please, please, please save that to your camera roll. Also, you can upload those scopes on YouTube, especially if you vlog. And so I've been vlogging this summer, so it's like a video blog. Make your scopes merge with your blog topics, or say with the topics of things that are going on in the month. So like homecoming. With you guys, maybe it's the recruitment fair that's coming up next weekend. So really like making it merge with things that are happening on campus or in the world. Even with your topics, Mr. Malone, you not only do like Texan news, but you do national news. So figuring out how the Periscope topics can coincide with something buzzworthy for national news. So when you scope, those buzzwords are automatically going out there. And then even merging it with your content calendar or your syllabus. Remind frequent scopers, people who attend your scope, about upcoming scopes. And promote your scopes days ahead of time and post reminders so that people know to expect it. So before I get into classroom or organization, I want to show you what a scope actually looks like, or a scope in action. So I will look for my name on, there we are. Yes, I have multiple personalities. Okay. And I will tell you why I did this with the multiple personalities here. I took TSU off of my name because I didn't want to bias other people from other universities viewing the scopes, and sometimes if you have that on the end of your name, people will become biased. And so, you can save your social media real estate by creating a new account and simultaneously switching the names on those accounts. So I still have access to DRJT Edward CSU. I haven't given that up, but I still have the one that I use most frequently. Okay, so we have 6 people joining the scope right now. We have the hashtag and also the topic of today's scopes. And then we have the scope in action. And so you will probably see me walking across the screen in a couple of moments. And so people who are joining the scope, if you could please give us a few hearts and just please demonstrate like maybe a comment or two. And I saw a comment. Have people been commenting at all?
They've been throwing some hearts out there, and okay. After you, like everything that you've been doing, they've been kind of participating in and doing it. So I've kind of seen it firsthand as you were.
And people who have questions, they will usually pop up like right here, and then the hearts will pop up right here as well. And I'm glad Periscope's not making me look fat. So that's good.
I have a question.
Sure.
You told that we can mute people. Mm-hmm. So while periscoping some event or anything, if, for example, there are 10 people attending your lecture or an event, and you want to mute just 2 of them because they are chit-chatting and stuff like that. So you get a choice to particularly mute those 2?
You can mute by individual. So if you wanted to, if I am just a troll in your Periscope and you want to mute DRJT Edwards, you just click my name whenever it comes up with my horrible comment, and you basically say, you go to mute or block. So you can mute or block that person. If you mute them, they cannot, comment in that chat or interact with you in that chat. If you block them, they're blocked from you on Periscope, period. And you can look in your settings tab to basically see who you have blocked over, 6 months or that time period.
What if they don't have Twitter account?
They have to have a Twitter account to use Periscope.
And what if you are using Periscope and they don't have Twitter account, then you might not be able to?
They can view it on, like say, for instance, this. They can view it on the computer, but they cannot comment on the computer. unless they're on Twitter and they're viewing your scope and simultaneously they have another screen up and they're commenting, but you cannot, that's been a good thing so far. That's been a good thing so far. Any other questions right now? I know it's kind of weird because it's kind of delayed, but.
What is the actual delay? Do you know?
You know, I think it's 5 seconds. And so it's relatively fast, but you know, 5-second delay isn't too bad. And you can Periscope scavenger hunts for your students. So say if you want them to scope with people on campus, you can have them, like say if it's something that coincided with your syllabus or your topic for that particular week, you can have them scope about different aspects regarding journalism or people's perception of a journalism topic. You can scope during a conference or an academic conference, especially if you have to be away from campus, and at that conference in DC or whatever, you are in this amazing session and you ask the presenter if you can Periscope that session, you can feed it all the way to your students back in Stephenville so they can see that session in real time as well. You can scope during campus events, but please beware of copyright. There are scopes that have, I mean, people have been Periscoping at live concerts and it's been great for me, but bad for the performer. And so Periscoping with that copyrighted content, they've been removing those scopes. So you don't want to get into a copyright game. And then gaining feedback from others on a class concept. So say if you're presenting about XYZ concept in class, or if you want to crowdsource, I'm having this problem, what do I do? So say if it's with a research topic or with a particular angle on an article, just figuring out from others what you can do. Some advantages of Periscope and disadvantages of Periscope. Advantages, it utilizes a Twitter account and it notifies your Twitter followers when you are scoping. You can upload scopes onto to YouTube, which has been great. You can watch scopes on the computer, and here's a hack for this piece. I put the scopes on my camera roll, and then I use iMovie on my phone or on the computer, and I just basically put that intro slide that was the icon at the beginning, and also at the end, so that they can have a a uniform scope, so they can know that the scope came from DRJT Edwards. You can watch scopes on the computer, like we are doing. You can discover new things about the world in different sections of the world. You can find out about new products. Let me go back to this, especially with the mass migration that's happening right now. It's been great to see that firsthand by people who are responding and helping the people who are migrating from Syria. So some of those aspects are not even covered on the news. So it's a great way to learn about the world that's happening. The other piece is, I've seen Periscope and Uber. People who are taking Uber vehicles, and maybe they're a single man or single woman, and they want that level of safety, they Periscope while they are in that Uber vehicle, and they might ask the Uber driver some questions, but if something goes down, everyone is observing that particular instance. So that's been interesting. Even when people walking across campus at night, if they want to Periscope, then, I mean, I know that people walk across campus on their telephones, but if you're Periscoping and you're like scoping everything out, then there's a level of safety in that as well. You can build a following. So if people follow you on Periscope, they're likely to follow you on other social media channels. You just have to provide that action item for them. And then teaching, research, and service. I've been able to really get my research out there, and that's been really, really neat. Especially, I have chats on Wednesday nights from 8:30 until 9 about teaching and higher ed. And so that's been really neat to push people to that chat. And then navigate between multiple profiles. So I have various profiles on Periscope, so I can navigate between multiple profiles. And also it gives you stats at the end, like how many people viewed the scope, how long they remained in the scope, and then how many hearts you received during that scope. And then after you upload it, or after it goes from live to delayed, then you can actually they can actually watch the scope later, and you will see how many hearts they gave you after your scope was finished the broadcast. Disadvantages of Periscope: turn off the location feature, please, unless you want someone showing up at your house. And to save scopes, you have to turn off the feature under the settings tab before you begin to scope. And then trolls. Trolls are trolls. And then 55 ways to use Periscope, and these are just brainstorming some ways to use Periscope, but let's see if we can make this larger. And we'll make it 150 maybe? Okay. So sessions at conferences to provide content for individuals who do not attend. This one is interesting, and people are doing this more frequently, But like we're headed to a conference next weekend, and they basically said no periscoping at our conference. So they're hip to the game. Another piece says I'm learning about a new technique, how to demonstrate how to do whatever. If someone has a question about writing their paper, I've been periscoping, this is how you modify the setting in Google Documents. Or lately with Google Documents, it has this, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, Mr. Malone, but I'm super excited about this, but the voice to text feature in Google Documents. So I periscoped about that whenever it came out last week. So exactly like the hour-long presentation that I have right now, it will transcribe that simultaneously.
Wow.
So I'll just show you. And we're having a session about this. We are actually having a session about this in around 3 weeks.
Wow. Does it,
Let me turn it off.
does it learn how you speak, or is it, I mean, that was perfect, what it said.
It transcribed where, you were speaking from around like 8 feet, 10 feet away, and it.
And how did you turn that on?
You go to Tools, Voice Typing, and then just click the icon.
Oh, wow.
And that's in Google?
Mm-hmm. So lots of implications for students writing papers, or for you, as you come up with new concepts and new ideas. So we're having a session about that a little later on. Learning about a new product, learning about a new culture, learning how to navigate a new place. So airports, things of that nature, which could be good or bad. Live interviews at events, live interviews with people on campus, showcasing an expo or job fair. I did that during the orientation sessions this summer, and I had people from all over the United States viewing the different departments and viewing the comms department and kinesiology and student life and everybody. And so they were asking questions. Capturing a lecture, so say if you're delivering a lecture in class that you think other people should know about, you can capture that lecture and have other people chime in. Office hours, sitting in front of a computer and answering the questions of the students who chime in. Showcasing recipes, showcasing exercises, vacation spots. That's been neat for the travel bloggers. So even your wife, Mr. Malone, like periscoping that vacation spot for travel writing. Then people who've been doing like Bible study in church, which has been interesting. I've been invited to Bible study on Wednesday nights on Periscope. And then there's actually the first church of Periscope. Life hack tips and life coaching. Tutoring similar to the Khan Academy, but in real time. Providing opportunities for students to present their research to a larger audience beyond the boundaries of Charleston State. Demonstrating a technique, teaching a series to a broader audience, or gaining feedback about a new concept or idea. Could you add anything to this list? How you could use it, either work, home, life? I know I'm asking you guys to think before lunchtime.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate it in a newscast.
You can.
Like live events, if there's a way to capture the video as it is live and put it out on cable through our studio.
So even if you are periscoping like in the newsroom, or either outside of the boundaries of the newsroom, and you save that to your camera roll, you upload that in iMovie, do your modifications that you need to, or in Final Cut Pro, and then you upload it to YouTube.
Well, what about live?
Live, it would go to the Twitter stream, and you can use that link from Twitter. Let me show you. Okay, so let's click this profile. The link from Twitter, just right click, and you would copy link address, and then you would put that out on Facebook or even email it to people that you're scoping live.
Cool, so like during the Chris Kyle trial, people could have scoped, set it in on the testimony, go outside of the courthouse.
Periscope Live.
Periscope Live.
People that ask questions.
Yep.
And then upload that later for a combination-based newsfeed.
Or yeah, you could display it on a computer. Yeah, we could display it on the computer and then point the TriCaster at the computer and stream it live from there out. Way cool.
So we'll just say newscast. What about even in your everyday life? or with your teaching or research or work, period. People have Periscope from bars.
I was just about to say that because I a bar manager over in Mineral Wells, and I was just thinking about maybe using that like this Friday when we have somebody performing, like they're just doing some acoustic covers and originals, and Periscope that, and then put that on Facebook so people can see what we're up to, or they can tune in and see what's going on. Oh, hey, let's stop by there.
And
looks
even
like
an interview before he or she gets started. Hey,
That's a good
I'm
idea.
at XYZ location, come out to see me, what questions
That's
do you have
perfect.
about? So, Periscoping to promote an event.
I know it sounds silly, but I keep thinking about it. Like, I definitely, I always wonder what my dog's up to whenever I'm not at the house. Like, because I know she's not, every time I walk through the door, she's always laying in her bed, and I'm like, I know you haven't been there the whole time. Like, there's always something she's getting into. And so, I swear I keep thinking about that. I'm going to download it on my tablet, and then I'm going to start broadcasting, and then just step outside in the backyard or something, not go anywhere, but just see what she's doing whenever I'm not there. I know it sounds silly, but that's what I've been thinking of.
But it makes sense. It makes sense, and you can see it live.
I'm sure she does some funny things.
Even, I don't know, even if I'm thinking about, we have a Calms Christmas party, or winter party like every year, and we have a gifts exchange. Even Periscoping that gifts exchange where students could, after they go home, for the winter break, they can see us in action the way we really are.
Right.
Which is scary.
Maybe graduation day.
Yes!
Oh, that's a good one.
Because most of the parents don't come.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
maybe it could be from XYZ reason, and they can see live.
You could Periscope yourself walking across the stage.
I Periscope during
I think
freshman
that's-
convocation.
I think that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever
Well, I didn't say you should. And the real-time experience.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I visited the experience. I visited the Dallas Farmers Market this past weekend, and so I Periscoped. There's this subscription service that we've been doing because we just want to learn how to cook like new recipes and stuff, and so they were there. So we Periscoped like what their Airstream trailer looked like, and then we Periscoped like the different booths that were at the Dallas Farmers Market. So it's like you're there, but you're not. Can you think of anything else?
It seems like there's so many things you could do with it. It's
I guess you could tie one to a tree and use it as a game camera and watch it.
You know?
that's a really good idea.
Even an iPod Touch,
Yeah.
Yeah,
if there's Wi-Fi in that area. Thank you so much. Oh, and Dr. Lancaster, don't forget, and I'll tweet you later, but we have a Higher Ed 55 community on Facebook. So it's about like teaching and ways to use technology.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Dr. Edwards, is there no limit on the amount of time you can live stream?
I've streamed about an hour. And then, there is a limit on the amount of people who can join and comment. But like say, I think a cap, like during the GLBTQ festival, they had a festival in San Francisco after the ruling. And so basically they Periscoped, and I've seen the number get up to 1,000. And one scope. You couldn't comment like you could if you only had 50, but they had so many people joining that scope.
But time limit wise, there's not really a cap on
I
that.
haven't seen it yet.
What if I want to Periscope in the theater?
Copyright. Copyright.
No, if I get the copyright, if that is not an issue,
If-
the division I'm talking about, can I Periscope to that extent?
To get the copyright on the movie is extremely expensive.
I mean, if it is a student-made movie,
Yeah.
students make that, and your university is sponsoring, and it's all student venture.
And if you get the student to maybe, write that they, you can Periscope their session. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. During the movie festival that we had, or the film festival. So
I think there's a presumption that creative works are copyrighted even if you haven't filed the paperwork. So you would probably need to get permission of the person who created whatever the media was, wherever that you were looking at.
and just get that in the email so you have a time and a date stamp just to verify that. That's a good idea. But basically, people are using it for almost everything, and I think the safety thing is, very interesting.
If you had an event and there were two people at it and they were both scoping it, is there a way to watch both of the scopes at the same time on one screen?
There, on your mobile device, no, but on your computer, just click those two different links, open each of these in like a different tab,
Okay.
and you can scope on one side and then the other, or you can even watch 3 scopes simultaneously. The volume might get kind of interesting, but you can watch scopes simultaneously. And also this weekend, one of the students was walking from the dining hall to their residence hall, and so they scoped that entire walkthrough through the student center and everything. And so I was on the phone with my mother, and I just saw that he was scoping. I wanted to give him hearts to encourage him, and so I could watch that while still on the phone with my mother. So that was interesting. So you can watch Periscopes, you can't hear it while you're on the telephone.
Could you scope an entire day? Could you get like a wearable camera and connect it to your phone, keep your phone in the pocket and just
Have
scope?
a charger. You would probably want to scope in segments because, that's the other thing. With Periscope, you can't really, like say if you wanted to watch a scope later, you would have to watch it in its entirety. So you would have to start from the time that we started until like right now, if we ended right now. And you can't like fast forward or go back. So that's why the beauty of uploading it on YouTube is great for the scope.
Oh, so you can go back to a specific time. That's a
And is
good
there
one.
an upload function in Periscope for YouTube?
There is not an upload function in Periscope, but it will say, like, whenever the scope ends, like, save it to camera roll,
Okay.
and it will save it to the camera roll. Then you can upload it via the YouTube app or.
And you have to put that function in before you start, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I made that mistake one time and have decided never again,
Yeah.
never again. Because lots of engagement, and you can see the people's questions, like even if you're watching the scope later, you can see like all of the questions that have come up in the scope a little bit later.
Could you share your PowerPoint?
And actually what I will do, I will upload this video on YouTube a little bit later,
Oh.
and then I plan to embed the PowerPoint on the blog. So, and that's good, and that's a hack because not only you're getting traffic to your blog, you're getting traffic to the YouTube channel, therefore it increases the probability of people subscribing.
And where do I go to see it?
I will, actually, aren't you on, yeah, we're on Facebook because I
Right.
know I see your pictures of your vegetables. So, so I'll invite you to the 55 Higher Ed community.
Okay.
So that's Periscope in a nutshell. It's a tiny app, but it has boundless capabilities.
Yeah, this turns one of these into a television man.
It
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
It does. And I will just tell you guys, I do not watch television anymore. I mean, football season is about to start, and that's like the
I'm
only thing.
literally going to get cable today just because football starts
Yep.
Sunday. After football season's over, I won't even have cable again.
Do you have internet at home?
I do.
You can buy the NFL ticket.
Really?
That's how we've been watching football and NBA and baseball.
I will have
And
to look into
ESPN
it.
has,
And you don't have to have a prior service or anything, or do you? Because that's the only problem I've come across is like, do you have it? Oh, well, if I had service.
search for NFL ticket, and if you can't find it, let me know. I saw an advertisement and it said like $48 like all season, so.
Okay. Awesome.
Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. And if you guys have any follow-up questions, just follow me at, and I always provide like a call to action for people. So whether it's subscribing to the YouTube channel or what have you. So just follow me at DRJT Edwards and you'll get this information a little bit later.
Correct.
that's it. And if you could drag it down for me and go to, yeah, stop scope.